movie like James Bond or something, it can only attract some people, and you can't have the whole family go and see it because there's so many degrading. It's not fully pure. He might have some of these qualities that are cool and whatnot, but it's not purifying. But when it's Krishna, it's actually fully purifying. So like a family can come up to you at the book table, and you can go to give them a Krishna book and open it up in front of the family, and there is actually Krishna's intimate pastime. Krishna's sex life is there right on the inner cover of the Srimad Bhagavatam. He's dancing. Krishna's a young boy, and he's dancing with all of the young cowherd girls. And you can open it up and show it to a family to see it actually, and they think, wow, this is amazing. This is so it's attractive, and it's purifying. But they won't take their children, hopefully not. Movies where there's some character who like gets all the girls or something. So the original is Krishna. Whatever someone is attracted to or looking for in the material world, it's there in Krishna in full. So the devotees, they're enlivened by when Krishna appears, even if he's roaring tumultuously, which the demons are afraid of. The demons, they're not enlivened by him. They get very scared. One name for Krishna in the Viṣṇu Sahasranam, well, a name for Viṣṇu, is Bhima Parakrama, which means, so we know Bhima, like from the Mahabharata, he's extremely strong. But Bhima Parakrama, it takes it to the next level. So he has just like horrible, uncalculable, unimaginable strength. That's Viṣṇu or Krishna. So we see that demons are very afraid of him. To the devotees, it's enlivening, it's great. Like, there's that verse about Nrsimhadev, that Ugro Panugra Evayam Subhaktanam Nrkeshri Keshri Vasupotanam Anisham Ugra Vikramaha, that just like the mother lioness, she's very dear and sweet and protecting and nurturing to her cubs. But to any enemies, she's extremely fearsome. She's terrifying. You don't want to go near a lion or walk in between her and her cubs. But to the devotees, she's very sweet. So Bhima Parakrama, he's extremely fearsome. We can see all these great personalities who were feared by everyone. They weren't afraid of anyone. Everyone is afraid of them. They're fine. They're good to go. Once Krishna comes in front of them, they become afraid, like Kamsa. So we see in the Garga Samhita that he got this bow that you hear about in Mathura, this ecstatic bow. Whose bow was it? Does anyone? Is it Viṣṇu's or Shiva's bow originally? I heard 2 Shivas, 3 Shivas. Okay, Shiva it is. So Parshuram, being pleased with Kamsa's submissive and humble service attitude, he actually gives him that bow. And he tells him, whoever breaks this bow will kill you. So Kamsa, he has this bow in Mathura, and we see he's not afraid of anyone. He subdued so many demons. That's why they're all on his side. Mahotsa Prabhu read some of that the other day, showing how Kamsa rounded up all these demons, as it's described in the Garga Samhita. And then we hear in the Srimad Bhagavatam and in the Krishna book, all these different demons, they're coming to kill Krishna, and they're terrifying. Some of them are miles and miles and miles tall. They're huge. Kamsa had crushed all of them. So he's not afraid of anyone, but we see Krishna arrives to Mathura. And that part of the Krishna book is I find it very enlivening, because it's whatever sort of mellow or themes or interest I had from all these movies and songs and whatnot growing up, it's like it's all there, but the original and in full when Krishna gets to Mathura. He's like, he's coming from this less, so-called less cultured place. It's very simple in Vrindavan, and now he's in the big city, and he just takes it over. So when he comes to Mathura, he does his thing. First, the washerman comes, kills Kamsa's washerman, and then they originally have just cowherd boy clothes, but now they take the king's clothes, so he's iced out. Iced out means you have so many jewels that it looks like shiny, like ice. So nowadays, if people, like in Atlanta, the rap music is very popular. I remember there were a lot of famous, I always said music artists when I was growing up, because I thought that sounded like more respectable and cooler. But there are many rappers in Atlanta who they'll say that I'm iced out. But what is this ice? It's made of some glass or cubic zirconia or cubic zirconia, I think is just a rock you can find on the beach, but it's what people make fake diamonds out of. So plastic, glass, all of these things. But when Krishna is iced out, he's wearing diamonds, emeralds, rubies, gold, all of this stuff. It's inlaid in the clothing. It's amazing. And you can still see actually this when you see his form of Balaji. Blinged out. So they're wearing cowherd boy clothes, but the envious washerman of the king comes up and chastises them for, having a good time in the city. But Krishna is the supreme enjoyer. They're enjoying like anything. They kill this king they kill this washerman for being offensive, and they take all of the king's clothes. So now they're looking good. Then one of the ladies of the king comes to him. Krishna makes her more beautiful and gets the lady, just like all the people do in the movie who people think this person's a real superhero. Krishna's the real superhero. And one other thing is that whatever the material world's a perverted reflection of the spiritual world. So what looks the thing is, the topmost activities in the spiritual world, it's actually the most degraded here. So all of this of Krishna having many consorts, and all women are attracted to him, and this and that, and other people's wives are attracted to him. It's the most abominable in the material world. But still, since people don't know anything better, they go to see these movies and whatnot and just get polluted by it. But when we see Krishna and his activities as described in the Srimad Bhagavatam, it's ecstatic, it's all there, and it's purifying. So when he's in Mathura, he just enjoys like anything. When he goes to where this bow is, you can imagine this bow is very valuable. So Kamsa, he has so many people guarding it. So they're the king's people. They've got to be suited up with armor, weapons, everything. But when Krishna and Balaram and some cowherd boys show up there, they make a mess of the whole place, and they break the bow in half. So Kamsa has already heard that they've come into his city. They're causing some trouble, and now they've gone to where his sacred bow is, which I think that bow also gets worshipped regularly, and it's broken, and the sound reverberates very far. It's extremely loud. So he becomes terrified, and this person, who everyone was afraid of, even the demigods, if these type of personalities like Hiranyakashipu, Kamsa, and others, if they just move their eyebrow in a slightly dissatisfied way, the demigods are afraid. And the demigods can control rain, water, the sun, all of these things. But they're afraid of them. But that person who they're all afraid of, once he hears that this bow is broken, Krishna is in your town, he's the one who's going to kill you, he's so scared that he can't even think straight. When he's sleeping, he has very strange, inauspicious dreams that he's like covered in oil, naked, riding backwards on a donkey. These are all strange dreams that indicate that you'll die soon. And then when he sees his own shadow, there's holes in the shadow. When he sees his reflection in a mirror, he doesn't see his head. So he's completely disturbed. He can't sleep or anything. He's more or less going crazy. That's how scary the Supreme Personality of Godhead is to the demons. And then we see after that, when Krishna is in Mathura with Balaram, they see another huge, extremely terrifying demon, Kuvalayapida. He's a giant, terrifying elephant. And Krishna just makes short work of him. He even kind of plays around with him. He runs in between his legs and then back out the front, and then gives him a slap. And then he rips off the tusk, this beautiful ivory tusk of this elephant, and he kills him with it. It's very brutal. And Krishna, he's then spattered in the shiny crimson blood of Kuvalayapida. And he's actually very beautiful. That's how it describes it in the Krishna book, that when he's covered in the blood from this elephant, he looks very beautiful. But we can understand to the demons, or those who are inimical, he looks terrifying. When he goes into this arena after that, where the wrestlers are, it's explained that all the personalities sitting in the arena, they see him in different ways. So the women in the city are seeing him as, wow, he's the most, he's like Cupid himself. He's the most beautiful. So many people, they all see him in a different way. But the wrestlers, the ones who, they're demons, and they have to fight against him, they see him just like a lightning bolt. And a lightning bolt can crack through anything, and he's going to crack through their skulls, as we see later in the Krishna book. So he kills those demons easily, and then once it's time for him to fight against Kamsa, we see Kamsa's so afraid that when he's swinging his sword around in front of Krishna, Krishna just smacks it out of his hand. Or he grabs Kamsa. Somehow or other, the sword leaves Kamsa's hand very quickly, and Krishna very quickly destroys Kamsa. So, like this, we see the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He's scary to the demons. And even to ordinary materialists who have a demoniac propensity due to their turning away from Krishna and trying to enjoy separately from him. We don't come to the material world because we're pure devotees, although some pure devotees come to the material world to lift us up. But the conditioned souls, we don't come to the material world out of a pure desire to serve Krishna, but due to enviousness of Krishna, this demoniac propensity that I'm going to be Krishna. I want to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or the center, or the enjoyer. And if we remember our activities throughout life of trying to be the center of attention and be Krishna, it's very embarrassing. So I do actually remember, I showed when I came home from college, I had the children's Krishna book. And I thought it was amazing because the pictures in it are cool, the stories are cool. So I left it where I would always leave it somewhere people can see it. And I had it on our dining room table, and it's a big book. And my dad came and he saw it, and he's like, Krishna, like the Supreme Personality of God, what is this? And I was like, this book is amazing. It's about God, and he's just slaying demons. And my dad, he goes, slaying demons, huh? He sounded really not into it. And another time at college, I brought home a sticker a devotee had given me of Jagannath. And when I brought it in to my apartment, one of my roommates walked in, and he's not a devotee, and we can see how the devotees are afraid of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He saw the sticker on my backpack, and he just screamed at the top of his lungs. He's, what is that thing? So I thought that was really surprising, because I'm not a devotee, but I'm getting the association of devotees, and in that way becoming enlivened by hearing about Krishna. And I think it's nice. When I saw the sticker, I thought it looked very nice. But when he saw it, he just screamed. He was actually very scared. So we see this dichotomy or distinction with the non-devotees and the devotees. I'll read from the Mood and Mission in a minute how we can see this Krishna consciousness movement. It's also another incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and because of that, it's also feared by the non-devotees. So everyone here is not afraid, because everyone has come to the temple to engage in Krishna consciousness, and everyone's enlivened by Krishna consciousness. So that's very nice. But we see the non-devotees, they're afraid of Krishna, actually. Hayagriva Prabhu explains that Srila Prabhupada was actually both enlivening and fearful, because we see we might be practicing Krishna consciousness, but still have some demoniac propensities, and so still it's a little scary to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead or his representative, because when we see them, we know, okay, I've got a lot of work to do, and he can see all of my faults. So I'll read this is from Hayagriva Prabhu, his book, Vrindavan Days, and he's describes both of these features in the face of Srila Prabhupada, that seeing Srila Prabhupada is both enlivening, but also fearful. I can try to put it on the screen. It's kind of small, though. It might be hard to read it either way. All right. Although 76, it's hard to read on there. Although 76, Prabhupada seems as ageless as ever. His head is freshly shaved, and the aroma of mustard seed oil tells me that he has just received a massage. His complexion is radiant, his eyes clear, his face full and healthy. This is the face that attracted me that day when I was walking down New York's Houston Street and first met him, the face that brought so many young seekers to that little storefront temple on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday nights. For us, his face embodies all the attractive qualities of devotion, for it's a pure, truthful, and compassionate face. It is both happy and grave. It is magnanimous, gentle, and forgiving. It is also determined and self-controlled, and above all, most learned and intelligent. It's a face not afraid to love and give all in love for Krishna. Indeed, Prabhupada's face conjures all those virtues that lead to love of Krishna. It's not an ordinary man's face. It transports an entire spiritual fact, the Vedic culture, an atmosphere of bhakti. I first began realizing his potency just by looking at his face. And so we see that's very enlivening, just to get a chance to see Srila Prabhupada, Krishna's pure representative. And then we hear the other side here also. When I'm Krishna conscious, it makes me joyful. When I'm not, I'm afraid to look at it. So when he's Krishna conscious, it's nice seeing Srila Prabhupada, but when he's not Krishna conscious, to see Srila Prabhupada's face is fearsome. When I'm not, I'm afraid to look at it. It accuses me, makes me ashamed without uttering a word. So we can see that when we're around, like disciples of Srila Prabhupada, when we're around Krishna's representatives, if we're not Krishna conscious, or having some hang-ups in devotional service, or our mind is thinking of so much nonsense, whatever the case may be, being around them is very, can be shocking, or even a little frightening or embarrassing. Because it's, wow, I'm all the way down here. I'm like, you have to use a microscope to see where I'm at right now. And then they're all the way, like that building in Dubai, the world's tallest building, they're all the way up there. And I'm at this microscopic level of trying to start engaging in Krishna's service, and I'm very unpure. So then seeing them can be shocking. Wow, they're so pure. It's like, I shouldn't even be around. I remember, sorry for all the personal anecdotes, but when I first got to be in proximity to His Holiness Bhakti Vikas Swami, it was the devotee who was serving him had his bag, but then he had to go make this like almond milk. So he gave me the bag, and I was just walking with Maharaj. And the whole time, I wanted to say something, ask some question, but the only thing I could think of in my head was, Maharaj, I'm a demon. So I didn't say that, but it was the only thing I could think of being around him. So, Hayagriva Prabhu says, what power there is in the spiritual master's face, what magnetism, what volumes of wisdom. A similar time I remember when I first got to meet with my Guru Maharaj, His Holiness Dhanavir Goswami. I came into his office to ask a question to him, like the third day that I was in the Bhakti program there. And I just kind of broke down because it was like very embarrassing being in front of him, because you just notice like, oh dang, like God is real, saintly people are real, sinful activities are real, and I've been doing them my whole life. I'm a nonsense. It's just being around them, you just notice like, what have I been doing? So, yeah, being around the pure devotee can be fearful to demons, or as Srila Prabhupada says in the Purport, those who might challenge his omnipotency. So Srila Prabhupada speaks about this in relation to the Krishna consciousness movement, incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, when he says, they are now feeling the weight of this movement. Formerly they thought these people come and go, but now they see we are staying. Now we have set fire. It will go on. It cannot be stopped. You can bring big fire brigades, but the fire will act. The brainwash books are already there. Even if they stop externally, internally it will go on. Our first-class campaign is book distribution. Go house to house. The real fighting is now. Krishna will give you all protection, so chant Hare Krishna and fight. We see when the Krishna consciousness movement comes about, what happens? The demons, they start feeling the weight of this movement. That's such a cool way to put it. Srila Prabhupada's a fighter. So he's Lord Chaitanya's Senapati Bhakta, as predicted in the Chaitanya Bhagavat. He's Lord Chaitanya's general inaugurating this Sankirtan mission. So we see he uses a lot of these military terms. And here this kind of a fighting term. They are now feeling the weight of this movement. So the demons, they become afraid. And I'll read a section of the mood and mission of Srila Prabhupada that describes that. I could put it on the screen, but I only have the physical book. I don't have the Kindle version, which is available for $26 on Amazon and easily readable on your iPhone in the Kindle app. I only have the physical book. So, and this is the Mood and Mission of Srila Prabhupada, Volume 2. Enemy of Everyone is this section, page 72. It's in the chapter Aggressive Challenging Movement. They are trying to kill God, and we are presenting God. We are the greatest enemy, Srila Prabhupada says. Recognizing that, quote, I am the greatest enemy of modern civilization, it is a regular war declared. Srila Prabhupada advised, do not expect that this movement will be accepted. He observed that naturally people are not interested in our movement because we are against the four things that they are supporting. Quote, the Krishna consciousness movement is not very popular with the karmis because this movement recommends that one refrain from illicit sex, meat eating, gambling, and intoxication. These are restrictions that karmis very much dislike. And that's the end of the quote. ISKCON's preaching is sure to rile present-day Kamsas. Quote, we are instructing no intoxication. So those who are flourishing by selling cigarettes and wine and liquor say, immediately kill him. If the movement becomes very strong, then our business will be lost. Kill him. So naturally they will be enemies. The same thing. Kamsa saw that. Now my sister is married. It will take a long time, but here is the cause of my death. They are thinking like that. No meat eating. Then all slaughterhouses will be closed. They're an enemy. He's quoting the slaughterhouse workers. They're an enemy. Although there is no such symptom that slaughterhouses are going to be closed, they'll think like that. We have forbidden no illicit sex, no intoxication, no meat eating, no gambling. The whole Western world is living on these four pillars. Just see our position. Everyone is thinking, if this movement goes on, then how will all these nightclubs go on? How will all the breweries go on? How will all the slaughterhouses and cigarette factories go on? So you cannot expect that we will get many friends. That is not possible, because the world is full of kamsas, demons, so we have to struggle. Actually, I'll just keep reading, it's pretty ecstatic. Simply by presenting the knowledge of Shastra, devotees become unpopular. Okay, it's in the same line of the... So one thing, we were listening to an interview of Srila Prabhupada, where in 1975 in Chicago, some of his statements about women being less intelligent became popular. So then all of these different like feminist news reporters would come and, give, it's not really a fight, but give an attempt of a fight to Srila Prabhupada. And he would just, pick apart all of these different misconceptions. So in one of them, one of the news reporters, actually one or two of them, get frustrated and just leave the room. And afterwards, the recording still goes, and you hear Srila Prabhupada with his disciples, and he explains that when you leave during an argument, that means defeat. That means you admitted defeat. But then he also explains that a devotee asks, Srila Prabhupada, if people are becoming so much disturbed and agitated by some of these statements in your books and some of these statements of the philosophy of Krishna consciousness, should we not say them? Is it better that we just don't preach about these things? And Srila Prabhupada was saying, if people become too disturbed, then you can just chant Hare Krishna. But then he gives a super interesting point. He says that these things are explained in the Shastra. In Bhagavad Gita, it's there right in the beginning. Arjuna is explaining that if women are unprotected, then there is Varna Shankara, unwanted progeny, meaning that because women are unprotected, then people having children out of lust, they give birth to lusty children because they're attracting a soul of a similar nature at the time of conception. So they give birth to Varna Shankara, and then Srila Prabhupada explains that it creates all hellish condition in the world. So he said, if you think these things are a problem, then you preach about it. But if you want to increase the hellish condition, then don't speak about it. So earlier he says you can just chant Hare Krishna, not talk about it, it's fine. But then he gives this kind of, I don't know, caveat, is that the word? Whatever it is. He gives this kind of interesting option where it's kind of clear what the right thing is to do. That if you see this as a problem, then speak about it. If you want to increase the world becoming more hellish, then fine, don't talk about it. So, simply by presenting the knowledge of Shastra, devotees become unpopular. Quote, "They do not like this Krishna consciousness movement anywhere. They are under the impression that we're making people escape, but that is not the fact. We are distributing knowledge. Jnanagni dagdha karmanam," Bhagavad Gita 4:19. "When one becomes on the platform of knowledge, then he does not work like an ass. But people want that people should work like an ass. That is the difficulty. There is a clash between our movement and others. There is a difference of philosophy. They want to make everyone work hard like an ass, and we say, Nayam deho deha bhajam nirloke kashtan kaman arhate vid bhujamye. We are preaching that human society is not meant for working hard like an ass or hog simply for sense gratification." End quote. Knowing that the Hare Krishna movement is very dangerous to the modern way of life, Srila Prabhupada expected that devotees would be widely perceived as enemies. Quote, "Rascaldom is going on, and our society is protesting. Therefore, we are the enemy of everyone. Because we are protesting against this. You cannot do this, you cannot do this." So just to further support my point that Krishna is the original OG, we see people are interested in these things because this theme in the movies of like a gangster personality. It's someone who no one can mess with them, and they become like the public enemy number one. So we see Krishna in his incarnation as the Krishna consciousness movement, or as Vrahadev or these other incarnations. Nobody can mess with him. So that's why I was saying that. He can't be messed with. And then another quality that people like of these characters is they're like grave. We see there's no one more grave than Krishna or his representative. And then at the same time, they can be the most like liberal or softer than a rose. And then at the same time more grave or harder than a thunderbolt. So Krishna, he is the... and then also whenever there's a fight, these sort of characters, they can finish either by their cunning intelligence or their strength, they can finish it very easily in a calm, cool, and collected way. So we see Lord Vrahadev, he's fighting Hiranyaksha, and he can crush him with his strength, but then how does he kill him? He finishes him with a slap. And so he's the OG. Noting that this movement is threatening the foundation of material civilization and the Western countries, Srila Prabhupada thought it natural that enemies would try to suppress us. He enjoined devotees to remain undaunted and become themselves enemies to the inimical. Quote, "As soon as we become very important, our enemies will try to suppress us. That is natural. Even Krishna was suppressed. Krishna could not be suppressed, but the attempt was there by Kamsa. So these things go on. Still we have to work. If we work sincerely, then we'll come out successful. We should not be afraid. Yudhyasva mam anusmara." Krishna advised Arjuna, "You fight, not that we shall not fight. This is good. They are feeling the pressure of this movement. Otherwise, why are they going to take a step? This movement is threatening the foundation of their material civilization in the Western countries." This quote is really long. Okay, I'll finish this quote and then. "We have to fight. Here is a chance for fighting. So why are they afraid? You have to fight, keeping our principles strictly. Yudhyasva mam anusmara. We should not be afraid to fight. This fight is another good news, that they are feeling the strength. Otherwise, they would not have prepared to fight. Formerly, they were thinking that so many swamis and yogis come and go, but now they are feeling the strength. They are charging that their young men are being kidnapped. Without fight, where is life? There is no fighting. Then what is that life? That is dead stone. Fight must be there. Krishna's whole life was fighting, from the very birth. This fighting means they're feeling the presence of the Krishna consciousness movement. Otherwise, why are they arranging a fight? Had it been an insignificant thing, then there would be no question of fighting. A howitzer gun is not, I don't know what that is. Maybe it's a big gun. Does anyone know? Howitzer gun? Machine gun. So a howitzer gun, a machine gun, is not required for killing a mosquito. This Mahesh yogi and this yogi are mosquitoes. For them, they don't require any gun. For a big enemy, a big gun. They are preparing a big gun. That means the Hare Krishna movement is a big enemy. It is not a mosquito. So you remain a big enemy. Don't become a mosquito. That's pretty fired up. And it might sound slightly out of context today because you see sometimes, if you look at the Krishna consciousness movement, it's almost hard to distinguish it from modern society. But when the devotees were going on in Srila Prabhupada's personal presence, there was so much opposition from the demons, court cases and all of these things to just try to shut down the entire movement. And even that whole, what's it called? What are those like brainwash guys? Deprogrammers, this whole group of people who would kidnap devotees and try to like brainwash them out of Krishna consciousness. So we see that there's other quotes where Srila Prabhupada's explaining even in India, he's had many enemies, like the caste Goswamis, his own god brothers, so many. And then also the Mayavadis and, so-called sannyasis were accusing Srila Prabhupada of spoiling Hinduism. Thus, Srila Prabhupada was seen as an enemy both in the East and the West. When I come to India, they say I am spoiling the Hindu system of religion. And when I go there, the Christians say, here is the greatest enemy. So he explains how our service was neither appreciated in India or the Western countries. It was also appreciated a lot, but we see the demons become afraid and try to make some opposition. I'll read the last two quotes of here because they're fired up. Can everyone stay awake and attentive while I read so much? Does it work? Okay. I'm wondering, because sometimes it's hard when someone's reading. Just as demons try to kill Krishna, but were themselves killed, the same fate awaits those who try to kill the Krishna consciousness movement. They are now taking action how to stop this Hare Krishna movement in Europe and America. Of course, we are not afraid of this attempt. They will never be successful, rest assured, because we are pushing Krishna consciousness. Krishna was attempted to be killed from the very beginning of his life. That is the nature of this material world. How to kill God. God is dead. This is their attempt. From the life of Krishna, we can understand that so many attempts were made by the demons and Rakshasas to kill Krishna, but actually Krishna killed them all. Krishna cannot be killed, nor can his movement be killed. Rather, those who are attempting to kill, they will be killed. Notwithstanding all this discussion of enemies, devotees should remember that from the highest spiritual perspective, no one is an enemy. Quote, when the Supreme Personality of Godhead is pleased with the living entity because of his devotional service, one becomes a pundit and does not make distinctions between enemies, friends, and himself. Intelligently, he then thinks, every one of us is an eternal servant of God, and therefore we are not different from one another. End quote. Ultimately, quote, ignorance is our greatest enemy. So Vrahadev's roar can destroy all ignorance. One other quality of this tumultuous sound coming from Lord Vrahadev was that let me read the Sanskrit, svagarjatena, by his uncommon voice. It's uncommon, it's unique. There's nothing like him. So that's another quality of this Krishna consciousness movement. We see in the Mood and Mission of Srila Prabhupada, chapter 15, unique movement. So this is just a list. So sorry, 1 second. Each of these quotes, or each of these statements is an individual quote that have been put together in a list. So the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he's the most unique. People might make all of these different movies, types of entertainment, stories, all of these things about some character. At the end of the day, what is it? Prahlad Maharaj calls it chewing the chewed. It's just the same thing. They make Star Wars 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 20. Like so many, it's the same characters doing the same thing. But everything Krishna does is unique. Even when he appears in the same form, because he comes millennium, sambhavami yuge yuge. He appears millennium after millennium. And sometimes in the same forms, but even then there's some uniqueness to it. Actually, Vrahadev appears sometimes in this color, this reddish color that's on the book, and then sometimes in this like yellowish, tannish color, like the same colors as the book actually. You can see a deity of Vrahadev in Mayapur where he's this tannish yellow color. And then we also hear about the red-colored incarnation of Lord Boar as well. And so there's variety to it. Sometimes Nrsimhadev apparently appears as a cat. So there's a lot of variety in Krishna's pastimes, even when he comes in similar or the same forms. So in his incarnation of the Krishna consciousness movement, it's a unique movement. In various ways, this movement is unique. Quote, "We are the only movement in the world which is preaching the real fact or secret to success, and outside our movement, everything else will fail." We can see that. Where else is the actual key to success given? What success is it? If one of the things that people always think is like the greatest service in some sort of movement that's helping the most people is usually when there's some sort of welfare activity for like hospitals or feeding people. But what's the use? I mean, if you look at the long term of it, in the hospital or in the feeding people program, if they're feeding people meat, then they might have saved them from a little bit of suffering of the stomach being hungry, or of a stuffy nose or something, or maybe something serious. Someone had to get like their lung replaced in the hospital. He almost died. Now he's living. Isn't that a miracle? How can you say it's bad? How can you say there's anything better than this hospital? How could you say it? Well, once this person's cured, or once these people are fed, in just a few years, if they're eating animals, then when they leave the body, they have to take on the body of some animals that are going to get killed, or something lower than that. There's hellish planets too, where there's more suffering. So it's not a long-term plan for helping these different types of things. It's described as saving the dress of a drowning man. So people get the human form of life, and if they're not taught the importance of it, if they're not taught to avoid sinful activities, and taught that labdva sudurlabham idam bahusam bhavante manusham artadam anityam api hadiraha tornamyateta napateta nimrityu yavan nishreya saya vishya kalu sarvatasyat. If they're not taught that the human form of life is very rare, and one should use it to attain what it's for, attain the goal of life, going back to Godhead, and not just waste it for trying to enjoy the senses, which even the hogs, dogs, and other animals get to do. If they're not taught that, then it's a failure. So we see that with hospitals and other welfare activities. They might save the dress of the drowning man. A man's drowning, and they swim out there, and they grab his jacket, and they bring it back. I got him. Meanwhile, he still drowns at the end of his life and goes into an animal species or hellish planets, or he just stays here in the material world, birth after birth. But the Krishna consciousness movement, showing how people can get out of this almost unlimited suffering, go back to the spiritual world and their natural blissful position as a servant of Krishna. We are practically the only society who is insisting, don't take intoxication. That's true. Even if you look at a church, it's finished? Okay.
You can finish.
Questions?
1 point. Finish with this.
Okay, it's true. Even in the church that you drink wine that everyone else is mooching for, that's the main thing. Don't take intoxication. Don't have illicit sex. Don't eat meat. Don't take part in gambling. Perhaps we are the only society. Here's just 2 more. Perhaps we are the only community in the world which can render the best possible service to the society. We are the only person who can give solution. There is no other group or any man in the world. These are really ecstatic. Okay, questions? One thing, though, is if you want to give me 15 more seconds, I can read the rest of the unique quotes, just if you like.
At the end.
Okay.
There's time. You just mentioned how... Oh, I think... It's on 2. Yeah.
We are the only friends within this world of the human society. Snuck that one in. Is it working?
Yeah. You mentioned how in the material world, when there's sex, violence, etc., it's degrading. But when Krishna does these things, it's actually purifying. And how a family can get together and hear Krishna Leela, which may be graphic, but it's purifying. It's completely G-rated. But on the other hand, if these things happen in the material world, then things start to get PG-13, rated R, and the parents, they don't want their kids seeing this stuff because they could sense that it's degrading.
Yeah, even the G movie, like Disney movies, even that shouldn't be seen.
Even that's degrading.
The whole thing is pumsam striya mituni bhava metam, and the rest of the verse. It's the binding knot of material existence, just promoting the so-called attraction between man and woman that keeps one thinking, I'm the body, everything around me is mine.
Yeah. But for some reason, people have this weird conception how kids, they can be pure and not degraded, but once they get older, then they can get degraded.
Yeah, that is weird.
And you see, like, people, like, there's this category of, or genre of movies, thrillers, which basically means, like, the most messed up things people can think of, they make movies out of that. And so, I don't know, it's just a stupid idea that we could be as degraded as we want as long as we're over 18 years old.
Yeah, it's
Or
very
or
terrible.
21 actually.
It's really disappointing too, because you want something to hear about and something to see and speak about and everything. If you don't have any other option, you get this nonsense. Like, you were saying there's the thrillers, and when people get older, then you can watch these things. So I remember me and my dad just wanted to watch a movie. You know, you want to spend time with your family. And we watched some like scary movie, and the end was so disgusting. I won't repeat any details about it, but it was just like there was just no need to make this thing into a movie. And it's just like afterwards we're just like, I'm sorry I put that on. Yeah, I'm sorry. I thought this was a good. I'm sorry. You just feel sorry at the end. But if people are just given the option, please take the Srimad Bhagavatam set to your home, read it with your family. Then they don't have to be sorry. They can go back to Godhead with their family. They can get purified. And it's nice. They'll have something to talk about, something to hear about that's actually pleasing.
Vishal had a few comments.
Uh-huh.
Okay, he says, Hare Krishna, Rishu, excellent class as usual. There's a song by gangster rapper Mac 10. This song is called Hate in Your Eyes.
It relates to what?
He's saying it after, I think.
The song relates to what did he say?
This song is by gangster rapper Mac 10. The song is Hate in Your Eyes. This song is basically about how people hate him because he's got money, jewelry, and nice clothes. Srila Prabhupada said we are all here because we hate Krishna. Also, you mentioned Bhima's strength. Srila Prabhupada said we can be powerful as long as Krishna keeps us powerful. Arjuna fought against many great warriors in the battle of Kurukshetra, and by Krishna's grace he was able to defeat them. The same Arjuna was defeated by many dacoits.
It's a nice point. And all music, but especially rap music, which, as far as maybe my perspective's limited, but as far as I understand, at least in America, that's like the most popular, and it's in all the other types of music now. But everything that they speak about in it, it's all of this like boasting and glorifying oneself. But the only person who can actually be glorified like that is Krishna. Because we see what happens to any of these famous people. No one knows about them in a few years, and they're not as great as they thought they were. But Krishna, he's always spoken about eternally. So, anything else? Mani Sutta Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu. It's really nice. Guru Bhakti Vikas Maharaj, he has this God, Science, and Atheism series, which is actually really nice, and it really dispels a lot of doubt. Actually, it makes you really feel like you're on the winning side. When it makes atheism seem like completely nonsense. But one of the points that Bhakti Vikas Maharaj makes in the series is that these atheists, they're so envious and hateful of theists, and their relationship, the atheist relationship with the theist is almost like the Pakistani relationship with India. They're very existence is completely dependent upon their hate towards, that opposite, so towards theists. But there's absolutely like no need, like if there's no God and there's no belief in anything, there's really no need to like be envious of God or His people. But that hate is almost like a deep, like an inherent like knowledge that actually they know God is real, but that fear of being forced to surrender, is there. So I just found that really interesting that there's so much hate, but that there's no reason to hate. It does nothing for you, and we're not bothering anybody. You're propagating your thing, and we're propagating our thing, and it's like we don't even make like a separate endeavor against their agenda, but just by us propagating our agenda, it completely dispels like their nonsense, where they have to go like a completely separate endeavor, just to silence us.
Yeah.
Like just propagate your atheism and be satisfied with that. But they're not satisfied with that. They feel like they have to like, silence us, like court case and throw our books in the trash can and like do violence upon us. We're not doing that to you. We're just preaching Krishna consciousness because that's sufficient enough to completely kick out all your nonsense, which is also proof that this is like the truth,
Yeah, that's a good point. Anything else? Yeah, we see. You were saying if something's not real, then what's their need to get so riled up about it and like use their whole life to like say that theists are wrong and this and that? We can see if like I know Harry Potter, that book. I know Harry Potter's not real, so I'm not I can forget about it. I can I can tell someone like, hey, Harry Potter's not real, but I'm not gonna like bend out of shape about it and spend my whole life on it. We see, but someone could say, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, He's coming and He's hateful or angry against this demon, or the Krishna consciousness movement is preaching against all these different things. Sometimes Srila Prabhupada or representatives of the Supreme Lord look angry or whatever. But they can use that anger in Krishna's service, and if it's not needed, they can give it up. If it's needed to make some point or get some philosophy of Krishna consciousness across, then we see that with that example in Bombay. Srila Prabhupada was arguing with that hippie to get this one, I won't get into the whole thing, but get this one point across from the Bhagavad Gita. Then he can also give it up. It's not like his whole life is used to keep arguing with that hippie or something like that.
First, I just want to say it's a pleasure to be here with you guys, be in the presence of pure devotees, always. I just wanted to kind of...
I don't. They're the pure devotees.
Just wanted to kind of, I guess, give you guys a little background information because rap music keeps coming up. Originally, because I know I'm a lot older probably than all of you guys, and I rap as well.
Oh, really?
Yes, sir.
There you go.
Originally, the movement was about actually consciousness. We didn't have anyone in the movement as glorious as Srila Prabhupada who had the courage to really stand for the purest essence of the movement. But originally, it stems back from African culture, traditional culture. All cultures, Indian cultures, African cultures, they understood that music had a purpose. We never really did anything for entertainment. It was always some purpose to evoke wisdom, to evoke the actual culture, which was always giving praise to the Most High, Krishna, and also kind of telling the stories of his devotees. Now, back in the day, you couldn't really rap or touch the mic if you didn't have a message. It was not what it is today. Of course, with the civil rights movement and different things of that nature, when certain things came to prominence, the powers that be, who were the same enemies of Prabhupada, the same enemies of the devotees, the same enemies of the Krishna consciousness movement, they didn't like it. So they infiltrated it and took it over. There was at one point in my childhood, the number one rap album was Public Enemy. And they were talking about fight the power, fight those same enemies, because they understood that those enemies wanted to corrupt this pure message that we have, this pure platform that we have.
Yeah, we were just seeing in the Mood and Mission how the Hare Krishna movement is the real public enemy, number one.
Exactly. And I just kind of wanted to make that analogy, because everything is so much propaganda, and everything is just sensationalism, especially in the media. People don't really see what hip-hop was, they just see what it is. And it's really a shame that they see the worst of it and don't understand where it comes from.
Yeah, I like the point that you made how... Was it? Okay, I like the point that you made how music is originally made for glorifying God, and that's true. So maybe you can if you make music, maybe you can set the proper example by glorifying Krishna. Turn it in the right direction. Hey, we jam out every day. Anything else? Questions, comments? Anything from the Matajis? Okay, I'll finish this thing about the uniqueness then of the Krishna consciousness movement. We are the only institution in the world preaching Bhagavad Gita as it is. We are the only hope for the human society to receive real knowledge. We are the only movement that can actually teach one how to know God and how to love Him. That's true. We see there's so many different religious movements and religious organizations. We get I don't know what you call it, chastised by the Christians a lot when we're distributing books. But if we speak to them a little bit, they're not really you'd think a Christian means a follower of Christ, but they're not really followers of anything religious. Like Jesus, He's a lover of God. He tells people to love God. But they don't follow, the whole thing that they argue with us about is that it's okay to do sinful activities. Because I say I'm a Christian, now it's okay that I do whatever I want to do. That's the only point they ever argue about. And if we ask them what about serving Jesus or serving God, sometimes they get more angry. Like, what? He never said to do that. It's like, I've really seen them get angry if you ask them if they would like to serve Jesus. They say, no, He gave us the world to dominate and enjoy. Someone literally told me that. It's really strange. But we see we're the only ones giving how to know God and how to love Him. And if you ask them anything about who is God and any qualities about Him, the conversation usually isn't very long. We are the only institution trying to give the greatest benefit to human society, Krishna consciousness. Perhaps we are the only group of men who are trying to propagate this science of Krishna consciousness. We can see that even so-called Hindu organizations or even things that look like Vaishnava organizations. Like we were in Texas and there's his name means that he's liberated and happy. There's some Swami, and in Sanskrit his name means that he's liberated and happy. And they put pictures of Krishna everywhere. They go to the Indian stores and give out flyers while we're giving out books that have Krishna on them. And they speak all about Krishna in their classes. But then it's so nasty. They just twist it in a way that's not Krishna conscious at all. He'll tell you, you can be just like the gopis and get close to Krishna and embrace Krishna and then merge with Krishna because you're God. It's total nonsense. So even those that look like they're presenting Krishna consciousness, there's no consciousness of Krishna there. There's no idea that this is the Supreme Personality. I'm His servant. I'm meant to engage in His service. It's the same thing, just like any other materialistic thing, just how you can be the enjoyer, be God, be the controller, which hasn't worked ever for millions of lifetimes. We are the only ones talking about God. That's also true. I saw in my world religions class, I took a world religions class every semester of college, so that's 8 classes. And one of the things... they speak on every religion for 4 years, and at the end of it I noticed that there's no actual, they've given different principles and practices with each religion, but out of the whole 8 classes, there's only one person that they said could be God, and they showed a picture of Krishna, and they're saying, in this religion they say that this person is God, but in none of the other religions is there an option of who God might be. They'll say, the Christians, they say Jesus is the Son of God. the Buddha taught this, but they don't say Buddha's God. In this religion they practice this one has this philosophy. But out of 4 years, there was only one person as the option. So I was thinking, maybe it's him. So we're the only ones talking about God. Perhaps we are the only society who is proclaiming, here is God, Krishna, take it. We are the only society in the whole world. Otherwise, they are all misled, all misled. Nobody says, here is God. Perhaps I am the first preacher to the world that here is God. This is the only movement preaching about God's glories. This is the only movement in the whole world. This movement is the only movement which can unite all the people in the world in oneness. Not the United Nations, as Srila Prabhupada often mentions. Every year there's a new flag. It's becoming more disunited. Perhaps we are the only sincere persons on this whole planet. And then the last one, the wonder of this movement. Perhaps we are the only institution in the world which is teaching that you are not this body. This is the wonder of the Krishna consciousness movement. We are the only institution throughout the whole world teaching people that, my dear sir, you are not this body. You are different from the body, and after death you get another body. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Kripa sindhubhya eva cha.